Hey folks, welcome to the Leeds Gamer. Just before I get into the video, do please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Also, if you could give the video a like, that'd be really appreciated. And do remember to hit that notification bell so that you don't miss any future content. Really do appreciate the support. So do please do all of that good stuff if you possibly can. So, purpose of today's video. Leeds have got 30 players on their books, 30 senior players. But the club are going to have to decide what they're going to do with these players come this summer. They've all, there's chunks of them on different length of contracts. So ultimately, the club needs to make some decisions. And, Daniel Farke's a big part of that as well. Just before we get into it, Daniel Farke's got 1 year left on his contract. So the club's going to have a chat with him. And maybe even offer Daniel an extra year or two. Do it. He's done what we've asked of him. With the club's asked him to keep us in the Premier League, and he's done it fairly comfortably. So why the heck not? Most of the squad are his signings. Continuity is going to be key going into next season. We're going to need to sprinkle some extra quality onto the squad, and that's why I've done this video here. So let's get into it. So I'll try and breeze through every player as quickly as I can. But there's a lot of players. Carl Darlow, offer him a new extension to his current contract. Quite simply put, he didn't start as the number one this season, but he's definitely finished as the number one this season. And he's been able to get 21 appearances, totaling 1,890 minutes in the Premier League. And there's still one more game to play, obviously, against West Ham, of which he will probably start if he is fit and available. So, yeah, for me, he's 35 years old, so I don't see him as like the long-term future of the club in terms of the goalkeeping department, but he's definitely earned the next extension to his contract. So Carl, Ilan, Alex and Sam, all of their contracts expire this summer. Immediate decisions have to be made with all four of them. So yeah, simply put, that's what I'd do with Carl. Ilan, very sad to see the kind of still image that kind of went around the internet, showing him sat on a football in the middle of the Leeds penalty area after the Brighton game. And he was just there contemplating, what's he going to do next. And the fact that he's been at the club about 5 years. And he's, in my opinion, Ilan has not let us down. We signed him for £5 million. He's a good lad, good attitude, and a good goalkeeper. He's just fallen. He's simply put, he's just fallen down the pecking order. But he's only 25. He will have a good career going forward. I say he will get a cap for France before he retires. But he needs to find a new home now. He needs to find a club that's going to use him as the number one. But I think whoever gets him on a free transfer, because his contract is up at this summer, they're going to get a cracking goalkeeper. I really believe that, and I wish him all the very best. If we assume he's not going to be at Leeds anymore, he leaves with best wishes because he's been a good servant to the club. 200 appearances for Leeds, and near enough half and half in the Championship, half in the Premier League. Really good for a young goalkeeper, that. He'll be a good signing for anybody. I'd like him to go to Celtic. I think he'll replace Schmeichel at Celtic if he goes there, and then compete with Sinisalo, the other relatively young goalkeeper they've got. Anyway, moving on. Alex Cairns. I would offer him a player slash goalkeeping coach contract. Alex said on the podcast that he would like to get his coaching badges, and the club currently has a vacancy for an under-18s goalkeeper coach. The position's tailor-made for Alex. It really is. He came through the youth academy. He'd be a fantastic coach for those young goalkeepers, in my opinion. So that would be what I would offer Alex. And again, put the player aspect into it, because he would count towards the homegrown quota. Came through the youth academy originally, and then came back to the club a couple of years ago, didn't he? Yeah, so easy choice for me, that, with Alex. And practically the same thing with Sam Byram. Wasn't it great to see him get that unofficial assist? Comes on 90th minute, puts that ball down the left-hand side that basically starts the move that led to the Leeds United goal against Brighton. So, if that is the last time that he plays at Ellen Road in a Leeds shirt, fantastic way to finish his Leeds United career there, isn't it? But I would offer him the same kind of situation as Alex if Sam wants to go into coaching, but still keep him on as a player. But Sam did say he would probably prefer to play more regular football for another season or two. But I think that if he gets snapped up by like a championship club, for example, they get him one hell of a fullback, very reliable player, and again, him and Alex, good guys. You know what I mean? They're decent human beings, and they know the game of football, and yeah, that's what I would offer Sam anyway. Moving on to the next bracket, which consists of quite a few players actually. These next bracket of players all have 1 year remaining on their contract as of this summer. Pascal Struijk, offer him a new one, please. He's really good. Simply put, Pascal's had a great season as part of that back three. 32 starts, 1 sub-up, 2,847 minutes with 1 assist. I don't know how he hasn't scored this season. Bloody crazy. Because in the Championship he was very good at scoring goals. But no. Left-footed centre-back and has done brilliant. I don't know how he's not got a cap for Holland yet either. That's criminal. So, yeah. No, easy decision. Get a new, brand spanking new contract over to Pascal and improved terms as well. Max Weber, either sell him or release him. He's had such massive injury problems this season. His loan hasn't worked out whatsoever, and quite frankly, I don't think the club wants him anymore. I don't think Max wants to play for Leeds anymore. So, we bought him for 11 million, which, we're not going to get anywhere near that. If he could be fit enough, we might get about 5. But with only 1 year remaining, just sack it off. Release him, and we make a minor loss on it. But what are you going to do? Ethan Ampadu, it's another example similar to Pascal Struijk. He's just been superb as Ethan, hasn't he, this season? His leadership quality. You've got Pascal, who was signed anywhere between a free transfer and 1 million. Absolute bargain. And then with Ethan, we signed Ethan for about 7 million quid. But he's a leader. We're talking about the two captains in the squad, the captain and the vice captain of this club. We need to keep them on, and Ethan's more than deserved a new improved contract. He's played 34 games this season. He's got the most appearances out of any player in the squad this season. 3,033 minutes with 1 goal and 1 assist. Just offer him new terms, for God's sake. Do it. Ilya Gruev, tricky one. Because when you looked at the plethora of central midfielders that we had, it didn't look as if Ilya Gruev was going to get much game time. But he's actually done quite well. Ilya Gruev has ended up with 15 starts, 8 sub-outs, totaling 1,325 minutes, and he's bagged 3 assists. That's not a bad return for a player that's been very much a bit part player in the season. But as a squad player, I'd offer him a new contract, but on the same kind of terms he's on now. I think that'd be sensible. He's out with a meniscus injury at the moment, which looks awful. He's on crutches currently, so I hope he makes a full recovery, obviously. But he's still only 26 as well, so he's got time. He's got a couple more years of improvement in him, and a very good backup to have. Brendan Aronson. Now this was a difficult one, but I just wonder if we can maybe offer him an extension on his current deal, because he's not had a bad season, hasn't Brendan? He's ended up starting 29 times with 7 sub-ups, totaling 2,382 minutes with 4 goals and 5 assists. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. And again, still only 25. You know, he's got 2 or 3 more years of improvement in him. We got him for around 24, 25 million quid, which is a lot of money. But I just think that with Brendan, he's probably earned an extension to his current deal with that. Lucas Metcher, offer him a new contract. I'd go slightly improved terms, but he's earned it. He's got one of the best goal and assist ratios to minutes of almost any player in the division. With 9 starts, 21 sub-apps, but you can imagine some of those sub-apps are so small in length of time, because he's only got 986 minutes of football this season, but he's got 6 goals and 1 assist. He's earned it. He's earned a new contract for me. At the very least, an extension to his current deal. At the very least. Joel Perreault, he's hardly played. We bought him for 10 million quid. I think we need to sell him. I still think there's a very decent striker there, for championship level, but I just don't think he's going to get into the system at Leeds in the Premier League, and I just don't think he's proven he can't get ahead of the players that we currently have, so why keep him? 2 starts, 13 sub-apps, 234 minutes, no goals, no assists. But he's still only 26, he'd be a very good signing for a championship club. So if we can get close to the 10 million that we sold him for, which I think we probably could, I'd go down that route. Joe Gallagher, he's had a great season for Hull. He's helped Hull get into the playoffs, which I don't think was expected by anybody at the start of the season. We bought him for just 1 million quid, but I just don't see where he gets into the current squad. Leeds need to evolve in terms of our overall quality, and as good a season, we've got to remember it's just one good season Joe's had, but it's been very good, at the second division level. So for me, yeah, I'd sell him, but we can make a profit on him. Why not try and get maybe around £5 million for him? I think that would be a bargain for a championship club. He's still quite young. I think he's going to be 23, 24 going into the new season. So yeah, I think that'd be an absolute bargain for a club. If we can get a little more than that, even better. Jayden Bogle, easy decision, keep. Done very well. Jayden is the first player in the next bracket in terms of the years they've got remaining on the contract. So these guys are, from Jayden onwards, these are all at least 2 years still remaining on the contract. So there's nothing, we don't need to be offering new contracts to any of these guys, because we can still get at least one more season out of them before we need to start negotiations. So yeah, easy keep, really good season for Jayden. In terms of his appearances, he's up there. He's the 4th most, with 31 starts, 2 sub appearances, totaling 2,728 minutes, 1 goal, 2 assists. Yes, keep him. Easy decision. Isaac Schmidt, sell. Got him for just 3 million quid. It's not worked out for him. His loan has been very hit and miss. I think we could get the 3 million back. He's still about 25, 26, so he's not super old or anything. So I think we could possibly get the 3 million back. I don't think we get much more out of him. If a club's willing to do it, I think they should coach him to be an attacking midfielder. I don't think he's got the attributes to be a fullback, but he's quite comfortable on the ball. Looks quite good on the ball, actually. So I would try and coach him into an attacking mid. But I don't think it happens at Leeds, simply put. Joe Rodon, very much like Jayden Bogle, easy keep. Easy keep. Second most appearances this season, 32 starts, 2 sub-appearances, totaling 2,864 minutes and 2 goals to Joe's name. Absolute warrior. He's picked up a couple of injuries, but he's then come back and he's still strong as an ox. So quite frankly, yeah, and he's kind of developed into a bit of a, he's got that capability to get down the wing as well, hasn't he? At times this season, which has been really good to see. Fantastic part of that back three, isn't he? Along with Pascal and Yaka. The three of them are so good. And yeah, easy keep. 10 million quid, bargain in the end. Without a doubt. Outanaka, I think I'd keep Al. He doubts his own ability at times as Outanaka. But I just think to myself, he's had a very mixed season, 13 starts and 14 sub-apps, totaling 1,240 minutes. He's got a couple of goals to his name. But he's just a very tidy player. And, if we were going to replace him, we're going to have to spend more than the 3 million quid that we bought Outanaka for. So I say keep him. Very good squad player. Very good. Jack Harrison, sell. Simply put, the loan to Fiorentina hasn't been amazing. But he's not going to get back into the Leeds squad. He's not the player he used to be. Under Bielsa, he was very good. But after that, he's just struggled, hasn't he? So I mean, we bought him for 11 million quid after 3 loan spells, and again, like a couple of the others, a bit like Max Verber, I think we'd struggle to get 5 now, to be honest. But if we can get anything for him, then yeah, I'd sell him. Wilfred Nonto, this is a difficult one. I like Wilfred Nonto. He's a good player, isn't he? But he just doesn't fit into the system. Now Wilfred Nonto is only 22. He's a youngster compared to the rest of the squad. But he's only had 4 starts and 18 sub-apps, totaling 506 appearances. 506 minutes, sorry. And he's only got 1 assist. It just hasn't worked out for him this season. If we don't sell him, I'd look to loan him out just to get him some game time. But then I fear that he becomes the next Laji Ramazani, and then we'd have to sell him anyway. So I may as well do it now. Whilst there's still plenty of profit available, we bought him for 5 million quid. I'd look to sell him for at least 15 million and try and push for maybe 20 mil, because only being 22, there's a massive potential ceiling, isn't there? So try and get some of the money back. Not just get the money back, but make a good chunk of profit on him. That would make sense to me. Laji Ramazani, oh god, he very much like Wilfred Nonto, very decent winger. There's obviously a potential player there, but Laji's a couple of years older than Wilfred, and his loan's been okay at Valencia without being spectacular. But we got him for 7 million quid. I think we can get the 7 back. I think he's done okay enough to get 7 back. I'd try and push for 10 if possible. I don't think that would be an unreasonable deal for any club. I think there's a good player there. Again, I just don't see where he fits into the system. DCL, keep. Easy, one of the easiest decisions on this list. Got him for a free transfer. He's stayed fit for most of the season. Totaling 29 starts, 5 sub-appearances, 2,661 minutes, 14 goals and 1 assist on a free. Bargain! He's got a chance of getting into England squad for the World Cup, and and he's 29 now, so it's like at 29, we're probably getting 1 more, maybe 2 more good seasons out of him. Which ironically is pretty much the current length of his contract. So yeah, it's an easy keep. Matteo Joseph, I'd sell him. We got him for 1 million quid. He's still quite young. He's a bit like Wilfred Nonto. He's still only about 22-year-old, but his loan at Mallorca didn't go all that well. Ended up picking up a really bad injury. I think it was an ACL injury he got as well, which obviously is bad news. But for me, he's just not. He's not going to make the grade, I don't think. And he's desperate for first team football. He's desperate to start games, but he's had a couple of opportunities at Leeds and not taken them very well. So I say we try and sell him when he gets fit enough. You know, we can easily recoup the $1 million that we bought him for. I'd be looking to get somewhere between 5 and 10 million, depending on who's stupid enough to buy him for that amount. I think there's a decent player there. That comment's a bit harsh on him, but I didn't particularly like his attitude. You know, he was going about it the wrong way to try and get first team football. I wasn't, you know, there was a bit of youthful petulance there, and I didn't like that. Lucas Perry, difficult one this, because Lucas Perry has played 16 games this season in the Premier League, along with FA Cup games as well. The Premier League minutes totalling 1,440. He's not been a bad goalkeeper, but he couldn't dislodge Carl Darlow. Carl took over the place as being the number one goalkeeper, and Lucas hasn't had a look in the Premier League since. I'd maybe give him one more year. You know, keep him for one more year within his contract. He's got plenty of time left on the contract because we only got him last summer. And he's still only 28. You know, he's a good age for a goalkeeper, is Lucas. Good size as well, you know, good height, good build to him, got a wingspan like an albatross. So, you know, I think there's a good goalkeeper there, but he needs to step up. You know, he's had this season to gain experience of playing in England. Now next season, he needs to step it up, because I think that the club will look to get another goalkeeper, because, you know, as a minimum we're losing Illan, and we might lose Alex as well, so that's only leaving two senior goalkeepers. So we're going to get one regardless, I think. But Lucas needs to step up. But I would, unless we can get the full 15 million back, then maybe sell him, and then look to get two goalkeepers. But that just feels like a lot of effort. So yeah, that's my take on Lucas. James Justin, easy keep. Versatile, can play all the way across that back line, can't he? He's made 20 starts, 8 sub-apps, 1,807 minutes. It's actually my date of birth, 18th of July. With 2 goals and 1 assist. Really, really good season. For just 8 million, he's been a bargain. Yeah, good player, James Justin, and very reliable, very versatile. Gavin Gudmundsson, easiest decision on the entire list. Keep with a capital keep, right? Fantastic left wing back. The only small improvement that I would look to see from him next season would be to get some goals and assists on his resume there, because he's played 31 times with 1 sub-out, totaling 2,645 minutes, with 0 goals and 0 assists in the Premier League. What's that about? He's been way better than that, in my opinion. It's a really, 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 really good left back. So yeah, keep, easiest decision on the list. He's my player of the season. He's been fantastic. Seb Bornau, difficult one with Seb, but I would sell just on the basis that with him being 27 years old, he's going to want game time to try and get into the Belgium squad. He's not going to get in for this World Cup, I don't think, but he'd still be young enough to then get into the next Euro squad, for example. But to do that, he's going to need game time. And, you know, he's done 5 starts and 6 sub-apps as of recording, totaling a mere 432 minutes. That's not going to get him into a Belgium international squad. Not a chance. So for pretty much for Seb's sake, I mean, we only got him for £5 million. When he's played, I think he's played all right. I really do. I haven't got any complaints with Seb Bornau, but I would maybe look to sell him. Try and get. I think we could get the 5 back, definitely. He's a very, very decent defender, but if he was younger, I'd suggest maybe keep him, because he'd be learning under the other guys that are in and around his position. But at 27, no, I think his time's possibly up at Leeds. If the club decide to keep him, I have no issues with that whatsoever. Anton Stack, easy keep. Very, very close to the level that I hold Gabby Gudmundsson in regards to, quite frankly. Fantastic signing. And Gabby was signed for just £11 million, by the way. Absolute freaking bargain. Anton Stack around 19 million, 18, 19, something like that. And what a player. Yeah, very, very good from Anton. Couple of nasty injuries that he's had this season, not mega long term, but look kind of gruesome at the time. But despite that, he's made 28 starts, one sub appearance, 2,379 minutes, with 5 goals and 3 assists this season. Can do a little bit of everything in midfield, can take set pieces as well, and he's just a funny guy. You need that kind of personality in the squad as well. Absolute unit at 6'4" as well. Jesus Christ. I wasn't sure that the stretcher was going to be long enough to actually take him off. I thought his feet would be dangling off or something. It must be a long stretcher. But no, all giggles aside, great signing. Easy keep. Sean Longstaff, I'd keep him. Signed for £12 million. Again, a bit like the Outanaka situation, we're going to have to spend a lot more to replace him. So what's the point? He's been very decent when he's played. Only 10 starts and 13 sub-apps. It's been a very kind of season in a way. Very similar to Outanaka to a sense. But just 1,007 minutes with 2 goals and 2 assists. But I just think that 28-year-old, lots of Premier League experience, definitely worth keeping. Good squad player. Noah Okafor, easy keep. Done very well, especially in the second half of this season, hasn't he? 25 years old. He's got he's still got a couple of years to improve even further. Imagine how good he could be in a couple of years' time. Jesus, if he can stay fit, that's the key for Noah. 19 starts and 9 sub-apps, so not quite as much game time as he would have liked. 1,570 minutes in that time, but he's got 8 goals and 1 assist, which is a very decent return for that amount of time played. Just imagine if we could get him fit, and all of a sudden you've got a very useful left-sided winger / forward. Yeah, easy keep for me. Signed for around £19 million, but there's a player there. Definitely a player there. Dan James, feel a bit sorry for him. He's a bit like Wilfred Donto. He's had his time out injured, and when he's been fit, he's not been able to get into the side. Not into the starting 11 that often. Only 6 starts and 12 sub-apps for Dan James, totaling 534 minutes. No goals, no assists. I just think Dan's time might be up at the club based on that. For Dan James, he's 28, wants to continue playing for the Wales squad, obviously. He's getting that pace back, against Minte at Brighton. That play for Brighton, Dan James was keeping up with him, and Minte's a very quick player, and Dan James is obviously coming back off all these injuries. It's going to take time for him to get up to pace again, but one of Dan's key aspects is his pace. But I just don't think he fits into the current mould, the current squad, in terms of the structure and the formation and the system that we play. But we signed him for £25 million, so it's going to be very difficult to get that back. But even at 28, I still think we could get maybe 15 to 20 for him if he can prove his fitness. I think he's still a good player there, but I just don't think he fits into the system. Not for him to play as much as he wants to. And then finally, Yacobiol. God, one of the easiest keeps on the list, isn't he? How many number 9s has Yaka pocketed this season? Like so many opposition number 9s. Yaka's got the most time available on his contract. His doesn't expire until 2030. And I have zero issue with that. Didn't start the season, obviously. When we started the season with a back 4, couldn't get in the team, but as soon as we went to a back 5, with 3 centre-backs, he was straight in there, straight in the middle. 20 starts, 4 sub-apps, 1,823 minutes, 1 goal, 2 assists, and an absolute brick wall. Really good defender. Total unit, and I like him. Good player. And as I said, that back 3 this season have just been absolutely superb at different times of the season. Really, really good. So there you have it, folks. That is my take on it. Put your thoughts down in the comments below. Which would you do something different with any of these players? or would you kind of go with what I've suggested there? Do please let me know. Do please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Also, please like the video and please hit the notification bell so that you don't miss any future content. But in the meantime, big thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Let's see what happens after the West Ham game and see what happens in the summer, because we do need some of these players to go so that we've got space to bring new players in. So some of them will have to go, but it's going to be interesting to see what the squad looks like going into the new season. But in the meantime, have a good one. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye for now.